Good morning, Bullard Eagles. This is Alyssa and
Charlotte.
with your morning announcements. Today is a green day.
Today for lunch, the cafeteria will be serving breakfast for lunch. Choose between breakfast pizza, French toast sticks or sausage, and egg and cheese bagel sandwiches.
Attention 7th and 8th graders. Would you like to play an online stock market game? Teams of 2 to 4 students create a mock portfolio and compete with other schools in our region to make the most profit. This game is open for 7th and 8th graders. Interest meetings are Monday, September 8th or Tuesday, September 9th in advisory in the Signet classroom, room 1225. Grab some friends, form a team of 2 to 4 students, and navigate the stock market to create a valuable portfolio. You can ask Ms. Brown any questions in room 1225 or email at brownjl@pwcs.edu.
The BRMS PTSO is hosting a Spirit Night this Thursday, September 11th at Chipotle from 4 to 8 p.m. Make sure you let them know you're from BRMS or use the code on the flyer for online orders. 25% of sales will come back to the school to fund events for students and teachers.
The BRMS PTSO is hosting a back-to-school kickoff party on September 16th from 3 to 5 p.m. Come attend the party and stay after to cheer on our Eagles at their first home football game. Admission is free, but bring cash for concessions. There will be pizza, popcorn, Kona Ice, a DJ, and more. Permission slips are required and can be found on the BRMS PTSO page. Have your parents check out the BRMS weekly bulletin for more information.
Calling out all readers, strategists, and fun seekers. The wait is over. Our first Books and Board Games Club meeting kicks off next Wednesday, September 17th, and we couldn't be more excited. Whether you're here for epic plot twists or epic game battles, this is your space to connect, unwind, and dive into stories and strategy with fellow enthusiasts. Bring your favorite book, your best game face, and a snack. Please be sure you get your application and emergency form turned into Miss Tumblin in room 1504 this week to be included. Can't wait to see you there.
Attention students interested in being a part of Eagle News. We are officially accepting applications. All interested students should visit the library Canvas page and fill out the Eagle News application under modules. Applications are due on Friday, September 12th. All students need to apply, including those who were a part of Eagle News last year. See Miss Beal and Miss Elam in the library if you have any questions.
Battle of the Books will have their first meeting today in the library immediately after school. Students should only stay if they have a signed permission slip and plans for a ride home. Please see Miss Beal in the library with any questions.
Eagle Buddies will be starting in October, and we would love to have you join us. Please see Miss Wesley, Miss Christopher, or Miss Eliason for permission slips. That's all for the morning announcements. Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.